So I thought I would just do a quick video on this book here. It's a subject that's not, I can't imagine there's many books on this in English. So the Italian invasion of Greece, which was something of a debacle. They made some progress initially, and then there was a Greek counterattack that pushed them well into Albania. And then, of course, they continued to send troops, and then eventually the Germans intervened. And they also took over Yugoslavia. The Germans invaded Yugoslavia as kind of an afterthought due to a coup. So this is, it's just not a subject that I had a lot of background knowledge in. So that's kind of one of the reasons I wanted to read it. The first half, a substantial part of the book, is just about the planning. They kept delaying the attack for various reasons. So almost half the book is about that. Then it talks about the attack about halfway into the book, or maybe 40% of the way into the book. And it's not so much on a tactical level, although later on they do kind of talk about that. It's just mostly kind of a broad overview of the divisions. The divisions aren't numbered, they just have the divisional names. So that could be kind of a pain if you're trying to figure out where each unit is. There is a big problem with the book. I've found there is not a single map in the book. So if you're really interested, I was kind of on Google Maps just trying to figure out where each unit is and the line of attack. But that's something that definitely could have been used. It is a translated book. I think it's from the late 60s, Italian author. So maybe the original book has maps and they didn't include any. There's also no pictures, which is not a big deal. But yeah, it definitely could have used maps. There was a few interesting tidbits. I don't know if one could very well be some type of propaganda. They talk about an Italian, I think a platoon commander, who wants to be the first one across a river, and he sticks his pistol in his mouth, just so, I guess, not to kill himself, just so he can swim across the river, and the gun's in his mouth. Sounds a little far-fetched. They talk about how it's clenched in his teeth. So there's some of that in there. And then there was another interesting part. I suppose this could be true. There's just a lot of stuff in here that seems a bit far-fetched. But of course, we can kind of assume that the Italian equipment was either not the best or lacking, and they do talk about how there's shortages of ammunition and other supplies because the Italian army is mostly using mules and things like that. And there was really only one, they call it an armored division, but it was really like an armored, like tankettes. It was kind of an armored division in name only. But there was a lot of problems with the mud, the trackless mountains, things of that nature. Anyway, there's a segment where it was so cold up in the mountains that when the mules would drop dead from exhaustion or cold, they would crack the skull of the mule open with an axe and put the warm brain inside their helmet, or I guess under the helmet liner to keep them warm, the Italian soldiers. So I thought that was crazy. But yeah, it's, you can't really be too picky because I did not see many books on this subject in English. So if you're just trying to broaden your horizons a bit on World War II, if you've read all the major battles and you just want something a bit different, because I just read a few books on the Norwegian campaign and then on some other more obscure topics as well. So I just kind of wanted to, I'd like to find a book on the East African campaign. I did a kind of a cursory look. I didn't see anything, but I'm sure there's got to be something in English I can find. But yeah, if you do want a good overview, there's not much to choose for, but I would definitely recommend picking this up. Of course, I got this from the library. I don't know. I didn't look up how much it would cost to buy it on Amazon. It's probably not cheap, but it's definitely a worthwhile read if you're